Jūs žiūrite specialią Rusijos karui prieš Ukrainą skirtą transliaciją ir šiandien mūsų laidoje buvęs Ukrainos prezidentas Petro Porošenko. Mr. Poroshenko, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much indeed for your invitation, and thank you to all Lithuanian people for the enormous solidarity you demonstrate already for 9 years of this war, and especially after 24th of February.
Let's start then with what I believe is always important to keep on our minds all across the world. What is at stake in the war ever since 2014?
This is a very good question, the first question. And with that situation, definitely on the stake is a global security. The war can come in every house around the world, because this is not only the war Russia against Ukraine. As Putin said, he's fighting with the whole democratic world, not only with Anglo-Saxons, US and UK, with the whole United Europe, and Ukraine just on the first line. Ukraine as a shield, and Ukraine paying a huge price for that to stop Russian barbarian. This is the war against freedom, which Putin hates. This is the war against democracy, which Putin never understands. And Putin afraid freedom and democracy. And Putin do not expect that the world would be so united. Putin do not expect that Ukraine would be so united, and he cannot have any opportunity to undermine our unity and our ability to protect. This is the war against rule-based order. This is the war against ability of Putin to change the border by force. This is the war against Putin's veto right for the future of the sovereign nation and sovereign countries as Ukraine. We do not ask the permission from Putin as we should be in the European Union or not. If we should be in the NATO member state or not. We definitely would be. And I am proud that me as the 5th president of Ukraine, including the Ukrainian constitution, obligatory for any authorities to work hard to be a member of NATO and a member of EU. And this is the war to protect Europe. This is the war to protect Lithuania, our great friend, and Lithuanian people. And thank you, because we feel your strong shoulder right near us.
We hope so, and we're glad to be able to help. Speaking of Mr. Putin, I'd like to elaborate on that, because you had a chance and an obligation to deal with this persona during your presidency. What is he? Not who, maybe. What is he?
He is a military criminal. He is an inadequate maniac. There is no any explanation why dozens of thousands of Ukrainian civilian victims were killed by Russian soldiers by the order of this maniac. Nobody understands why about almost 100,000 Russian soldiers find out their deaths here, coming here to make a massacre. And that's why, based on my personal experience, I have several recommendations. If anybody expects that under any circumstances Putin want peace, please don't trust him. And in general, don't trust Putin. Whenever he promised, when he promised to withdraw the troops as he do exactly for me in the year 2015, don't trust him. Don't trust when he promised to withdraw heavy artillery and weapons, when he promised to release all the hostages, when he promised the ceasefire, when he promised, please don't trust Putin. Putin weaponize everything which is in his hand. Oil, gas, food, refugee crisis, everything. But it is extremely important also, my second conclusion, a second recommendation. Please, please don't be afraid of Putin. I see many leaders who, with their shaking hands, approaching him. Please, learn from Ukrainian armed forces, from Ukrainian people, and from Ukraine. How, and from Lithuania, by the way, how not to be afraid of Putin. And this is the only way out, because if you are weak, Putin go as far as you allow him to go. And Putin understand only the language of strength. And now, exactly this language use the armed forces of Ukraine. By the way, the very best diplomat in the world now, because this is the armed forces of Ukraine to through Russians from Kiev, diplomatic victory, through Russian in the Kharkiv region, diplomatic victory, and a few days ago, through Russian away from Kherson. And that's the best evidence that the best negotiate with Putin is the armed forces of Ukraine. And I'm proud that me, as a fifth president of Ukraine, together with my team, create the armed forces. By the way, with the great assistance of NATO, including Lithuania.
This recommendation of yours naturally leads me to a question about some voices that are currently heard around the world, maybe even in Europe. They're in a minority right now, but they're saying that maybe for this war to end, for us to stop the economic problems and all that, we should sacrifice something. Maybe the West, maybe Ukraine has to sacrifice something. What would you tell those people?
Please, don't let Putin to make you fool. If anybody said that you have an inflation, rising up the prices on the energy resources, rising up the prices on food, rising up the prices, the cost of living, because of the war in Ukraine, please don't trust them. Because Putin raised prices on all the products before the war. Remember high rocketing prices on the natural gas? Remember how Putin started to blackmailing the world with the oil prices? Remember how Putin blocked the Black Sea port of Ukraine, put 500 million people with the danger of the starvation, and rising up especially price not only for Europe, but for the African, Asian countries. That's why the key from the peace is not in Washington, not in Brussels, not in Vilnius, and not in Kiev. The key from the peace is in the hands of Putin. The key from how to stop the inflation, how to stop the economic falling, how to stop the chaos in the global economy, there is only one solution. And the name of this solution is learn it, please, remember it. One word, deputinization. Deputinization of the global economy. Don't buy, please, don't buy the energy, oil, gas. Don't buy the coal. Don't buy the wood. Don't buy anything from Russia, because this is completely unacceptable. When $1 billion a day Putin received from the democratic world, and half of this amount he spent to kill us, Ukrainians, to buy from Iran the attack drones, Shahed, or missiles, and send it to the object of the critical energy infrastructure. And now Kiev, today, stay without electricity 16 hours. Now, our children cannot visit the school. Now, we have a very difficult situation throughout Ukraine, when people without heating, without hot water, without electricity, without energy. But we definitely have a fire in our hearts. We're definitely absolutely confident in our victory, a global victory. And better to be without water, heating, electricity, than to be a slave. We never trade our freedom. We never trade our democracy for Russian oil, gas, or heating or water. Please, Mr. Putin, remember that.
Mr. Poroshenko will take a short break and be right back. Netrukus tęsime pokalbį su buvusiu Ukrainos prezidentu Petru Porošenko. Likite įsijungę. Tęsime specialią laidą skirtą Rusijos karui prieš Ukrainą ir šioje laidoje kalbamės su buvusiu Ukrainos prezidentu ir karo metu, jeigu skaičiuotume nuo 2014 Petru Porošenko. Mr. Poroshenko, speaking about the ways to achieve victory, every single day the West is considering, the world is considering how much should we help Ukraine and what should we provide? Currently, in a humanitarian sense, in a military sense, what is the key need of the Ukrainian nation and of the Ukrainian state?
In the March, I propose the peace plan of fifth President Poroshenko with the 5 points. Point number 1, weapons. And with these weapons, now we definitely need the top priority is air defense. On the first day of the war, this is the total dominance of Russia in the air. We don't have it. Now situation improving, but we urgently need it, not only on the front line, but also on the for protecting the cities and critical object of the infrastructure. Point number 2, from weapons. This is the jet fighter. This is, by the way, the defensive weapons. This is not for attacking. This is just to close the sky and not allow the Russian demons appear in Ukrainian sky. Point number 3, this is the drones. This is the new type of the war, and everybody should understand that winning the war, not those who have a bigger army or bigger number of soldiers. Russia is 10 times bigger than we are and spend 10 times more money than we are. But Ukrainian armed forces surprise the world. And drones, including the attacking drones, is extremely efficient. Long range, high accurate artillery, tank, missile. Why long range? Because we should stop Russian ability to have logistics for the Russian ammunition, the Russian headquarters. We should destroy that. And the modern radio electronic warfare system. Everything of that as a NATO, but we wait for that 9 already 10 months. Please, we need to accelerate, because it is for somebody would be strange, but more weapons means closer the peace. Second point, sanction and embargo. Sanction on Russian oil, sanction on Russian gas. We're waiting the decision for the 9th package of sanction with a cap for the Russian gas prices. And I want to thank Lithuania for such a firm position in this situation. Embargo, no Russian export. And this is the vital position to stop the ability of Putin to finance the war. Point number 3, this is the justice. Responsibility for those Russians, including Putin, who make military crimes in Ukraine, from Bucha to Mariupol. And we definitely, Ukraine, this is the demand, the whole world, not only Ukrainian people. Point number 4, financial support, including support after the war. And point number 5, or maybe this is a top priority, the future membership of Ukraine and the EU and in NATO. Because without Ukrainian membership in NATO, nobody can be confident with their future security. After the fact that Putin ruined all post-war security system based on the Security Council of the United Nations, there is only one effective mechanism in the world of security guarantee. And the name of this mechanism is NATO membership. And Ukraine, which gave up the 3rd biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, never repeat the mistake of the Budapest Memorandum with the fake guarantees. I am absolutely confident that we can count on the support of all member states, and we are very much pleased to Lithuania for such a firm advocacy of Ukrainian future membership in NATO.
NATO and European Union sometimes looks hesitant for providing the guarantees about the future or air defense, as you noted in your first point about speaking about the ways to end the war. What would your argument be, and where could the line be drawn? Because the alliance is a little afraid for its actions to be treated as offensive. What's the win-win situation here, if we can describe it for both Ukraine and NATO right now?
Again, remember, don't be afraid of Putin. Second position, you should accept and understand that now Europe is protected not by Article 5 of NATO. You are now protected by the blue and yellow shield of Ukrainian armed forces. And for those who has any doubts in that, please consider that not as a support of Ukraine, but investment in your own security. NATO need now Ukraine not less than Ukraine need NATO. And with that situation, I think this is definitely win-win technology. And when I was a president and when I have a meeting on the summit of NATO, nobody eyes to eyes said that they're against Ukrainian future membership. Now, Ukraine has significantly more and better arguments for that. That situation, I want to remind you that Vilnius is a very lucky place for Ukraine. Exactly in Vilnius should be signed the association agreement with the European Union for my country. And when I signed the association agreement in Brussels, the pen was from Vilnius. This year we have a Vilnius NATO summit. Now it's 2023. But the closest summit of NATO would be in Vilnius. Absolutely great chance for NATO, great chance for Lithuania and for Vilnius, and definitely great chance for Ukraine.
You're more than right in this occasion, and then Lithuania, I believe, is willing to do anything it takes in the summit to support your goals. Speaking of the future, a little more, Ukraine and Russia, how do you imagine the countries creating their futures after the war ends?
The wound is so deep that cannot be treated during one generation. And if you wanted to imagine the post-war Russia, if we said again one word, that should be deputinization. The future development of Russia We should learn very attentively the German experience after World War II. And with that situation, I think that would be the best way for Russia. By the way, this allowed Germany to make a fastest development after the war. And I definitely recommend that Russia take responsibility for the military crimes the Russian people, not only Putin, make against my nation. Learn, treat, and after that, return back to global family, a free and democratic world. And I have no doubt that together we make this victory quite close. I strongly believe. I don't mention the date because this is strongly depend on the volume of the weapons embargo and financial support, but definitely this is in the interest of the whole world, that the victory of Ukraine would be closer.
The holiday season is coming. What will it look like? How special will it be?
Great question. I don't even think about that, but can you imagine that we live almost 300 days without weekend, without holidays? Can you imagine that the family, because the Christmas is a family holiday, but the mothers with the children, some in the Europe, not seeing father for the more than 10 months, or in Ukraine, return back without electricity, without heating, without the water. Because of the Russian air attack, we don't have an opportunity even to collect the people, despite of the fact to have a Christmas tree or children holiday. And the father of the family, mostly on the front line, with the weapons in their hands, protecting Ukraine, Europe, and the world. That's why the stronghold for that, for the future meeting, for the future victory, is in the heart of all family members. But please, when you have a holiday, when you have a Christmas tree, and when you have a pray to St. Nicholas, please pray for Ukrainian victory. This is definitely help to the whole world.
Will do. Thank you very much for taking your time. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава, and thank you very much indeed for this interview. And good luck, and wish you very Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Wish you the best. Kągi, tiek mūsų specialioje transliacijoje šį kartą. Ačiū, kad žiūrėjote. Likite įsijungę Lietuvos ryto televiziją.